Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm so excited to jump in today's crafting video because it is Valentine's Day. So I knew we had to do a Valentine's Day craft. So I decided to make some heart-shaped candles. So if you're curious to see how I made this, then keep watching. So if you've been subscribed to my channel for a while, you know that I've already made a candle making video. That was my first time making candles and they came out pretty good in the end. But if you haven't checked out that video, I will put a little card up here so you guys can go check that out. But other than that, we're basically doing the exact same thing, but I knew when I saw these heart-shaped bowls, I knew I wanted to make them into candles for my home. All right guys, I'm gonna show you everything that you're gonna need for this craft and then we're gonna jump into it. Alright guys, and for today's craft, you're going to need quite a few things. You're obviously going to need the wax of your choosing. Today, I'm using these paraffin wax beads, but you could use soy wax or a more natural alternative if you want to do that. I'm only using the paraffin wax instead of a more natural alternative for a few reasons. Number one, I've heard that paraffin wax holds fragrance oil a lot better. The fragrance lasts longer. Also, I've used this before, so I'm more confident in using this than trying a whole new type of wax, not knowing how it's going to turn out. Because I've used this before, I have this on hand, so I didn't have to spend any money. I already had all of the supplies that I'm using today. To measure out your wax beads, you're going to need some type of shipping scale or a food scale, something like that. And then to melt your wax beads, you're going to need a melting pot. You're also going to need some type of fragrance oil. This brand is called CandleScience. I really like this brand. I think the quality is just amazing. I love their fragrance oil, and I'm using the scent Black Sea. It's kind of like a musky, almost like, it smells like it could be a cologne. It smells so good. So if you like the way men's cologne smells, then you will definitely love this scent. Definitely recommend trying this out. But this is what we're going to be doing our candle in today. You're also going to need a tablespoon to measure out your fragrance oil whenever you're pouring it into your wax, along with some mica pigment powder. I'm using this Stardust mica pigment powder in white just because I want my candles to be white. I want them to be neutral and match all the other decor and stuff that I have. So I'm doing white wax today. But if you wanted a colored candle, you could use whatever color mica pigment powder you want or already have. You're also going to need some wicks to put into your candle jars. And they also make these like little silver metal wick holders that you could put on your jar that hold your wick up while your candle is curing. But again, I'm saving money. I just drilled some holes in some popsicle sticks that were big enough to fit the wick through. And I'm just going to set this on the jar, put the wick through the hole, and it's going to hold my wick up the same way. Now to stick these little wicks on your jars or containers, you can use these little sticky tabs that you stick on the bottom of the wicks here, and then you just stick it to the jar. I'm going to be using my hot glue gun to put these down because why buy those when I can just use this? I know this works fine. I used this last time and didn't have any issues. And you're also going to need a thermometer. I have a digital thermometer here because you're going to have to check the temperature of the wax once it's melted before you pour in your fragrance oil, because if you pour in your fragrance oil when the wax is too hot, it's going to completely burn off the fragrance oil and then your candle is not going to smell at all. So definitely need a thermometer for this craft. And then you're obviously going to need your bowls or containers, jars, whatever you are pouring your wax into to make your candles. Now today I'm using this glass heart bowl that I already had and this heart-shaped wooden bowl that I got from Hobby Lobby. And if I have any wax left over, then I'll make another little candle just using this tiny little metal bucket here. So we're gonna see how much wax this takes, and if I have any left over, then I'll make some extra candles. Now you can also decorate your candles using leaves, dried flowers, whatever you want. I'm using these dried rose petals that I have in this bag that I used last time, but that's obviously optional. You don't have to decorate your candles if you don't want to. All right guys, I'm super excited to jump into this craft, so let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is boil some water. So I just have my pot about halfway filled up and I have it on medium-high heat. So once the water starts boiling, then we're going to put our melting pot on with our wax beads in it so it can melt all of our wax beads. So while we're waiting on this water to boil, let's go ahead and measure out our paraffin wax beads. So whenever I'm measuring out my wax beads, I just turn on my shipping scale, and then you want to make sure that you zero it out and don't count the weight of your melting pot. So I just zero it out so it's not going to include the weight. And then one thing to keep in mind is for every 1 pound of beads that you're using, you're going to use 1 ounce of fragrance oil. Okay, so I'm just going to pour my beads in there. And I'm gonna do 1.5 pounds. So I got 1 pound, 8 ounces here. There is our wax beads. So I'm just gonna put this melting pot in the pot of water. And sometimes it just kind of floats there. I just let it chill until all of the beads are completely melted and you see nothing but melted wax in there. And while we're waiting on our wax to melt, we'll go ahead and attach the wicks to all of our bowls. Okay, so we are going to put our wicks onto our bowls and canisters. Like I said before, I'm not sure how many candles we're actually going to get to make with this amount of beads, but we will see. So I just have my hot glue gun. Now this is a cordless hot glue gun, so it has a charger that I charge. This is like a battery down here. So I just plug the cord in the back. It charges my hot glue gun, and then whenever I'm ready to turn it on, I just hold down my power button, and then it turns on and it will heat up within a couple minutes, and then I can use my hot glue gun to attach the wicks to our bowls and canisters. So I'm just going to set this down over here while it's heating up, and let me go grab the heart-shaped bowl and the wicks. Okay, so we are ready to attach our wicks. So like I said before, you can obviously get the little stickers that you can put on the bottoms of these and then just stick them on if you want to. I am just using what I have on hand, so in this case I'm using my hot glue gun. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue on the bottom, and I think because this bowl is so wide, I'm gonna put 3 wicks in here, and then I just use the popsicle stick or wick holder to press it down on there, since it is metal, and once you put the hot glue on it, it is kind of hot to touch. Okay, so now we have our 3 wicks attached, and we are ready to pour our wax in once that's ready. Now, just in case I do have leftover wax, I want to go ahead and put these other wicks in these bowls here. So now that I have all of my wicks attached to my containers and bowls, I'm just going to wait on my wax to completely melt, and then we'll be ready to remove it from the heat, let it cool a little bit, add our mica pigment powder and fragrance oil, and then pour it. Our wax is almost done being melted. I just want to show you guys what it looks like. So it kind of like clumps up, and you can like continue to stir it if you want to, or just stir it periodically, or just break up the chunks. I just put it on, walk away and leave it, and I'll just stir it periodically until it's completely melted. Usually it doesn't take more than about 15 minutes or so, probably another couple minutes, and this will be completely melted. All right guys, so our wax is completely melted. So this is what it looks like. So we are going to take the temperature now. It's going to be super hot. Yeah, it's at 174.5. You want to let your wax cool a little bit, and you want it to be between 125 and 135 before you pour in your fragrance oil. Otherwise it'll kind of burn it off really fast, and your candle will smell kind of faded. It won't be very strong, and it won't last as long. So I just recommend waiting until it gets down to about 130 before you pour in your fragrance oil. But it definitely cools a lot faster once you remove it from the pot of water. So I'm just gonna set it over here and let it cool down a little bit. So while we're waiting on this to cool down a little bit before we pour in our fragrance oil, you can pour in your mica pigment powder at any temp. It doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some mica pigment powder. Kind of see the mica pigment powder. It's going to be pretty hard for you guys to see the white till the wax actually starts to cure. So it's been a few minutes, so we're going to check the temp of our wax again. So now we are ready to pour in our fragrance oil, and like I said, for every pound you're going to do 1 ounce of fragrance oil. All right, so I've stirred my fragrance in, and my mica pigment powder was already stirred in. So now we are ready to pour our wax into the bowl. And then I have a little bit left. So I think I'm just going to pour it into the glass heart bowl. All right, guys, so here is our candles. You can already see it's already starting to harden and cool down. And this is where you would also add any decorations to your candles that you would want. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so I think I'm gonna add some of these dried rose petals to this one. And with this glass heart-shaped candle, I think I'm not gonna add the dried rose petals to that one. I think what I wanna do is just put a little extra mica pigment powder in there, but I think I'm gonna add some pink in there and kind of swirl it around, and we'll see how it cures. Alright guys, so after I mixed up all the pink mica pigment powder, that is what it looks like. Hopefully it kind of like cures with that swirl. That would be really cool. And then here is our wooden heart-shaped bowl with the rose petals. So cute. Okay, so now I need to put on the wick holders so that they aren't like slanted and falling into the wax as the wax cures. Now I would recommend that you do this beforehand, but before you pour in your wax, but you can do it after like I'm doing. It doesn't really matter. So now we have our little wick holders on. So now we are going to leave these setting for 24 hours and we will see if they're done curing by then. Alright guys, so it has been 24 hours and our candles are completely done curing. It looks like they started to dome a little bit, not too bad. Like I don't think I even need to fix the white one, like it's just barely there. And like I said, these are for my home, so I'm not really worried. This pink one I kind of want to fix. So what I'm going to do is take my heat gun and turn it on the low setting and just warm up the top just enough for the top to be all melted so that it can even out just a little bit more. Alright, so I'm going to leave this setting overnight again to cure and we'll check back on them tomorrow. Alright guys, so it is the next day and our candle is completely cured now. So now I'm going to take off these little sticks that we had the wicks wrapped around and we're going to trim our wicks. Obviously you can use a wick trimmer for this. I'm just going to use my regular scissors. And voila, there are our candles. But I love this one. I think this one's definitely my favorite. Okay, so now I'm gonna go put this candle in my living room on my coffee table. So cute. And I'm gonna put this one on my end table. Alright guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please let me know by giving me a big thumbs up. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to drop a comment down below. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, be sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any other crafting tutorials. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.